Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitanamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nirvasesha Sunyavari Paskacha Desatarani Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Now where's Jamal? Where's Damodar Kumar? Okay. Interesting time to shop. Okay. We're going to meditate and break into components one verse. Prabhupada says that, well, anyway, let's not get too far afield. So, we're all looking for, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that this verse, the verse we're going to study, is a key that opens the door to devotional service. It is a understanding, practicing, becoming absorbed in the elements of this verse are just like if you can have a seed, but you got to have soil, you got to have water, you got to have sun, then the thing will sprout. Having the seed is necessary, but it is not sufficient. You follow? You need it, but it's not. You need the whole package. So in order for us to become Krishna conscious, there are prerequisites, there are conditions. This verse, I'm deliberately keeping it secret for a moment, this verse gives us the guidelines, the instructions, the indication of what prerequisites are necessary to open the key, open the door. It's the key that turns the door, opening the house of bhakti. Okay, so it's important. Now, as a little setup, precursor here, it's relatively easy to understand we're not this body. That's not really, I mean, if one has any kind of intelligence. But what is the fallback position? Okay, I'm not this body, but I'm my mind, I'm in my intellect, I'm my perceptions of the world, I'm my ego, that's who I am. Sure, I'm not the body. I'm actually, whatever. I'm these subtler senses of self. And the Vedas break it down. You can't really see it here. Or maybe you can. I'm half blind. But you see these radiating circles out around the image? So anamoya means just let me fill my belly. Or like a plant, it will move towards the sun, or whatever it is. The bull will go for the grains. And even in America, when it's not a war or a crisis, what is the element that determines how people vote? It's the economy. Are they filling their belly? So it's the same. I forget who the politician was, said, all we need is, a chicken in every pot, a car in every garage, and a good 5-cent cigar. Won the election by So people filling their belly. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you may die. So this is anamoya. A little higher is gyanamoya. One gets a sense of, well, I'm a self, I got an identity, not just, stimulus response, but I'm thinking. A little bit better than that is vijnanamoya. One develops philosophy. One develops a sense of culture. And that philosophy culminates in I'm not this body. Okay, but what are you? And ultimately it's Anandamaya when one understands one's spirit soul, Nitai Sarup Krishna Das. So there's different levels of perception of self. And if you look at here, you see our little rat here in the maze? We're all like this. And we're all locked into our concepts. I'm this body, I'm this mind, I'm this intelligence, I'm this ego, whatever I am. Everybody's got a uniform. The skaters have a uniform. The nonconformists have a uniform. Everybody's got a uniform. They got the clothes they put on that they think are cool. Everyone's got the I'm a slacker outfit or whatever it is. Whatever it is. Everybody's got a uniform. Everybody's got an ego. Everybody's got an identity. But the devotee, the introspective sage, needs to rise above that. We need to see these parts moving. Like you see here, this is a maze, a labyrinth. But if you're up above it looking down, you can see the patterns. You can see, okay, here's the way to go and here's how I get out. If you're stuck in the maze like our little rat friend, you'll never figure your way out. You got to get up above it and look over. So we need, if we're going to advance in spiritual life, we need to watch our mind, our senses, these things working. If we can't make that separation, then we're just going to be flying blind and beating our head against the wall. Krishna himself says, a person in divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows that within himself he actually does nothing at all. We have to watch these things working and know that we are separate from them. Krishna, again, next verse. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, opening and closing the eyes, we're watching all these things happening. He always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects, and he's aloof from them. So not just aloof from the body, but aloof from the mind, the intelligence, the ego. Then we can begin to see, oh, wait, what's going on here? Is this really what I want? Is this really me? Or is it just my mind and my senses? We need to be introspective sages. We need to learn to be detached and able to watch our body, mind, intelligence, and false ego working. That's just intelligence, sumedasa. We have to come to that point. Otherwise, we are no better than animals. So here's the verse. We're warming up to it. This is from Lord Chaitanya's foundational instructions, the Shikshastikam verses. And of those Shikshastikam verses, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's foundational instructions, this verse, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, we should wear as a garland around our neck. It is the key that opens the house of bhakti, understanding this verse. He said, wear it as a garland around your neck. Trinadapi sunichena, tororeva sahishtuna, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sada hari. And the translation, one should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind. Okay, what is the definition of that? If we want to chant the holy name, and we're going to get in, well, why do we want to chant the holy name? What are the benefits? Assuming we want to chant the holy name of the Lord, then you need to do it in a humble state. Okay, what does it mean? Hare Krishna. What does that mean, humble state? Thinking oneself lower than a straw in the street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, ready to offer all respects to others while not expecting or demanding any respect for ourselves. In that state, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. And we're going to get into, well, why chant constantly? Is that just a blind repetition like a monkey? Bang, 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 What's it mean? Why do I want to chant the holy name constantly? So let's take the first element, lower than the straw in the street. Because once again, these are the precursors. These are the necessary elements for the seed of bhakti to generate. So it's most insignificant, humble position. People walk on grass, people mow grass, people do so, the grass never complains. You can't get really closer to the ground, lower than grass. And how does this relate to us? Prabhupada says the beginning of knowledge, therefore, is humility. In his purport, there's the qualifications there in the 13th chapter, all the different elements of knowledge, wisdom. But Prabhupada says the first, the essential foundational principle is humility. Now here's they say he's humble and got much to be humble about. What is our actual position? What are oh, here's our big issues, here's our big problems, here's our big concerns, here's our big accomplishments. In the grand scheme of things, it says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, if you know a mustard seed, if one mustard seed falls out of a bag of mustard seeds, is that a big loss? You lose one seed? So unlimited. What is it? Lord Brahma says that you can't count the number of universes, you can't count the waves of the ocean or the grains of sand on the beach. So what is our actual position in this? And Tamal Krishna Maharaj personally told me this story. TKG is affectionately Tamal Krishna Goswami. So he, in 1968, Prabhupada, he was appointed as the temple commander for the LA temple. This is the LA temple in those days was on La Cienega. And it was at the time the largest temple in ISKCON. There were probably 30 devotees. Yeah, max. 30 devotees. And he wasn't the GBC, that was Karundar. He wasn't the temple president, that was Dayananda. He was the temple commander. So, third or fourth that. But he was thinking, in charge of the daily operations. And, it's an important position in a temple. So he said to Prabhupada, I'm afraid I've got this powerful position. I may become intoxicated with this powerful position. What to do? Prabhupada said, you think like this, that Lord Vishnu, Krishna is expanding into Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu lies down in the causal ocean from his breathing and from his pores. So many universes, unlimited universes. In every universe, he lies down again. So many planets, every planet, so many continents. Every continent, so many countries. Every country, so many counties, provinces, districts. In every county, province, district, so many cities, every city. So many blocks, so many streets. Every street, so many houses, every house, so many rooms. Prabhupada was explaining like this. And in one of those rooms, picture from that expanse of Mahavishnu, we've come down to this one little room in one little universe. Prabhupada said, here's Tamal Krishna Goswami, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, or Brahmachari at the time, thinking, I'm very important. So, if we sweep out and think, what do we got to be so arrogant and proud about? Prabhupada told a story from Guru Nanak. And the story goes like this. There was a sadhu, Vaishnav sadhu, went to it, traveling sannyasi, Parabhajacharya, and he was giving a pravachan, a talk in the evening in the temple of the town, a town temple. Yeah, temple town. I know, whatever. The town's temple. It was a rough night last night. So, a friend asked his friend, why don't you come see this sadhu? Come here. I've heard him speak before. He's very nice. You'll like it very much. You'll get much information, spiritual knowledge, and relief. This man was very rich. Now, there's foolish poor men and pious rich men. But this rich man was very puffed up. And he thought, I know these sadhus. I'll go there. He'll drone on for an hour, and he'll depend on Krishna, depend on God. But then he'll come and ask me for money, for some, dakshin, something, So depend on. But he says depend on God, but he's depending on me. I'm not going. So his friend was smart and said, well, you just sit for half an hour. It'll be over, and there'll be a nice meal. They've got samosas and nice luglus and gulab jamans. The guy said, hey, I can sit through anything for a good meal. So he came, sit in the back behind a pillar. The sannyasi spoke, and sure enough, at the end of his talk, the sannyasi called the rich man over. Prabhupada says you can understand that by the face is the index of the mind. So the sadhu could understand what this man was thinking. He called him over and said, I need your help. And the rich man was thinking, damn, I knew it. I shouldn't have come. The guy got me. What the heck? He wants cow or gold or who knows what he wants. All right, what is it? So the sadhu said, I have this needle. I use this needle and thread for sewing up my dhoti and my kurta if it gets ripped, and I'm losing it all the time. So could you just keep this needle for me and you give it to me in my next life? What did the rich man And what is the value of it? He's proud of all of his gold and all of his wealth and his land and his holdings. And what is the value? I don't think can you buy a single needle? Maybe in India. But in America, you got to buy a packet. Can you buy a single needle in India, Ram? And anyone know what a packet of needles costs? At the most. So what is the value of one needle? So, insignificant thing. So the sadhu said, can you just keep it for me and give it to me in my next life? Anyone know what the rich man said? What would you say? Vijay, if I asked you, can you give me this laser printer in my next life? Laser pointer? You say, look, I can't even take my, glasses. I can't take my body with me. What do you speak? I can't. So the rich man was intelligent. He could understand, I'm puffed up by so many things, but I can't even take a needle into my next life. So what are we so puffed up about? The benefits of humility. Simple, averse to fault-finding, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, forgiveness, freedom from envy, and from the passion for honor. We'll talk about this a little more. Someone asked Prabhupada, what would happen if the whole world became Krishna conscious? And Prabhupada described these qualities. So just, why do we want to become humble? We have to breathe life into these terms. If we just repeat them like a parrot, then they don't have any weight. But we need to breathe life into them. If I actually become truly Vaishnava of humility, I'll become decorated with these qualities. This is how I will experience the world. Prabhupada would criticize Gandhi, but also sometimes he would praise Gandhi. Gandhi says, be the change you want to see in the world. We want to see a change. This is the change. Imagine if the whole world were like this. So, if it's true on a microcosm, it's true on a macrocosm. Let us become like this, and this is how we'll experience the world. So we should want to become humble, because this is the state of mind we will then exist in. That's the world we'll live in. We create the world we live in. It's not conditions, it's our consciousness. The world we live in, my father used to say, you're just about as happy as you set your mind to. So really it is a state of mind. Another benefit of humility is the ability to take good advice. What is the two guys got in a fight, whether to cut with a knife or cut with the scissors? And the knife advocate was burly and strong, and he took the scissors advocate who kept saying, no, use the scissors to cut the rope. The big burly knife advocate took the little scissors advocate and was holding him under the water. Said, I'm going to drown you if you don't agree. Anyone know what the scissors advocate did with his dying breath? Yeah, thank you, Dravida Prabhu. He put his hands up and went like, he was still arguing. He couldn't speak, but he was still arguing scissors. So, just... who are you to tell me what to do? But the ability, if we're humble, we can take good advice. This is the beginning of Tadvidi Pranipatena. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. And as Balaram was saying nicely yesterday in class, Guru is gurus. It's plural. Siksha Guru and Diksha Guru. So the ability to humbly hear from others, other than just being an arrogant fool. My father, many good qualities, but he was puffed up. You wonder where it comes from. So my father, we would always go on a family trip. The short version is we would always get lost. We'd be in Twin Falls, Idaho, and you can't find that, map where the hotel is. That was before GPS. And my father would be trying to figure out the map, me going around and around. My brother would say, oh, Dad, we've gone past that building 7 times already. Shut up, So, happy family vacation. So I remember my mother saying, Bob, that was my father's name, Bob, we're surrounded by people who know exactly where they're at. Why don't we ask one? All the people, they know what street, they know where they are. Where the Ramada Inn is? Oh, yeah. But he was too proud to ask. So we're stumbling around in this world. We know what's good, bad, right, true, but we're too arrogant. So just one of the abilities of humility, one of the benefits of humility is the ability to take good advice. Because there are people who've seen the truth. It's not that everybody's an idiot. The willingness to change and to grow. If we're humble, we're willing to think, oh, well, I've got a bad quality, or I'm not, I've got this issue, or I've got this anger. Let me work on it. I'm not perfect. I'm not God's gift to the world. I'm a conditioned soul. Let me grow. Let me change. Let me hear from others. It is such a relief to come to have that humility. And one can actually advance. So are we talking about low self-esteem? Is lower than the straw in the street means everybody kicks you around and you're worthless, you have no energy, no confidence? Is that what low self-esteem means? We have the example of Raghunath Das Goswami, so humble. He, you can read in Chaitanya Charitamrita the progression of his humility. He got to the point that he was eating only the rice that was thrown out and spoiled, even the cows wouldn't eat. He would wash that off and eat that. So, and yet a poet and a Kaviraj and a philosopher, so profoundly confident and yet profoundly humble. Prabhupada said there's two heroes, there's two books that are the support of the Vedic worldview. Anyone know what those two books are? Yes, Dravida Prabhu. Ramayana and the Mahabharata. And Prabhupada said the hero of the Ramayana is Hanuman. And the hero of the Mahabharata is the Pandavas, Arjuna. And Prabhupada said they were both fighters. So so humility doesn't mean you let people exploit you. It doesn't mean you let people cheat and walk all over you. But it's a worldview, but you can also fight for Krishna. Prabhupada was humility personified. I could give a whole class on Prabhupada's humility. Actually, I've got one example in here now that I think about it. So, but Prabhupada fought for Krishna. For Krishna, Prabhupada said, we have New Dwarka, this is New Govardhan, we have New Vrindavan. Prabhupada said we can call Juhu New Kurukshetra. Because it was such a fight, and Prabhupada would not give an inch. He refused. Prabhupada said, you can all go away. I will not leave. He made a promise to Radha Rasbihari, beautiful Radha Rasbihari. He made a promise that I'm going to build you a temple, and he would not leave. And, we should mention, Giriraj Maharaj's book is coming too soon. He also would not leave. So we fight for Krishna. It doesn't mean low self-esteem. Whoop, going the wrong way. Prabhupada was speaking in Paris, and you can ask Kripa Mayi because she was there. And it was, mid-70s. Anyone who knows the history, it was power to the people and student revolutions. The Communist Party almost took the government of France. The students were rioting in the street. Classless society, power to the people. You can imagine the scene, right? Prabhupada speaking, big public auditorium, and he talks about 4 varnas and 4 ashrams, that there's 4 different levels of society. The audience, full of young people, exploded with rage. You're talking about 4 classes. We're talking about classes. This is the exploitation of the proletariat. They went off on the whole thing, right? Marxists, classless society. So one man, you can hear the tape. He's shouting, and the whole thing is a cacophony of it's really, I don't know what you call it, gone asunder. And somebody keeps calling out, and I suppose you think you're first class. I suppose you think you're first class, to Prabhupada. And then you hear Prabhupada say, no. And it's so powerful, it just cuts through the noise, and people stop. He says, no. Prabhupada said, I am 5th class. I am a servant of the other 4 classes. And the whole audience burst into applause. That this is Vaishnava humility, that you're a servant of everyone else. So that's humility, at the same time bold, proud, fight for Krishna. So just to summarize, lower than the straw in the street. So straw insignificant thing processed through our cows, it becomes the most valuable thing, milk. So Vaishnava humility, feeling oneself lower than the straw in the street, it becomes the most elevated, sublime state of consciousness. So that's the first element. More tolerant than the tree. And what's the time? Okay, good. So next element, more tolerant than tree. Trinadapi sunichena, lower than the straw in the street. Toroiva sahishnuna, more tolerant than a tree. What does that mean? Trees, heat, cold, wind, rain, they don't quit. You never see a tree, hey, what is that Joshua tree? It's one of the oldest things on the planet. You ever seen the Joshua tree out there in Joshua National Park? And it's bent, isn't it? It's completely gnarled and it's blown by the wind. Forget it. It never said, hey, I'm out of here. I'm going to Miami. I had enough of this, you know? Anyway, we're not talking about dull-headed stoicism, but we're talking, you can learn from a tree. A tree is tolerant. And it's got its reason to be tolerant. Difficult situation. Now, toleration, usually it's a measure of, Prabhupada said, the ability to tolerate is a measure of a man's strength. Now, this guy, I don't know, how much is he bench pressing in the Olympics? I mean, I don't know what he's, huh? Yeah, I mean, lifting over the head, whatever you call it. So, yeah. So he's up there. And look at his face. Yeah, I'm great. He's like, next birth is a gorilla, no question about it. But is that a measure of someone's strength? That you can, lift so much, or whatever it is. There's a man who can pull a train by his teeth. Takes him a while to get it going. I don't know how many compartments, but it's the locomotive, a couple. It takes him a while to get it going. But so Prabhupada said, strength, here's the real measure of strength, the qualities of a Brahmin. Dhamma, tapa, shantir, self-control, austerity, tolerance. Look at this sadhu's face. And then look at this guy's face. Who do you think is really happy? Because how long has he got that? That's going to be gone, and it's 560. Somebody's going to come along and do 570, and then you're an asterisk in the book, if they even have you at all. So this is the measure of strength, is the ability to tolerate. That's a person of character. Now, a tree, here's another example of a tree. It doesn't discriminate who to give fruit to. It doesn't say, well, I like you, so I'm going to give you some apples, but you, buddy, none for you. It gives indiscriminately. It gives mercy to all. That's a symptom of being tolerant like a tree. One gives mercy to everyone without discrimination. It's a kind shelter. We were Tamal Krishna Maharaj took us all on a tour of Radhakund, and he explained that Prabhupada took him on a tour of Radhakund. And in Radhakund, in Vrindavan, there was a big tree that shades part of the Radhakund, Shamakund. And one of the devotees leaned against it. Prabhupada said, no, don't lean against that tree. That tree is a Maharashtra Brahmin who's taken birth just to give shade to the pilgrims. He's taken birth in Radhakund just so he can give shade to the Vaishnavas. So a tree doesn't say, well, Balaram, you're going to get shade. But that Badrinarayan Swami, I don't really like it. No shade for you. Again, it's the same principle of being kind, being merciful to everyone. That's Vaishnava. And tolerating all kinds of offenses without complaints. Someone carves their name into you. I was going to have a picture of a dog offering his respects, but I figured that was a little too graphic. But they don't say, hey, come on, what's this, They tolerate. So people are going to offend us. It's the nature of this world. We have to be tolerant. And living for the service, even the tree gives its body in the form of wood, of lumber. So this is being tolerant like a tree. Next, ready to offer all respects to others without expecting respect for ourselves. From the Gita, a humble sage, how do we do that? How do we not want respect? Okay, we're humble, that helps. What about offering respects to others? So what is the vision that allows that consciousness to take hold? Here it's described in Gita. Humble sages, by virtue of actual knowledge, see with equal vision learned and gentle Brahman, cow, elephant, dog, and dog-eater. They're all spirit soul. Magrari the hunter used to half-kill animals, and then after meeting with Narada Muni, he wouldn't even step on ants. So this is the vision. American democracy, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, of course they mean all people eventually, are created equally. Now that's the cornerstone of our American governmental system. It's the corner system of democracy around the world, that all people have inalienable rights because they're all created equally. Anybody in this room created equally, materially? Anybody look the same? Anybody got the same intellect? Anybody got the same strength? Actually, each one of us we're proud of our individual. So what makes us all the same? We're all eternal spirit soul. We're all part and parcel of Krishna. That is actual equality. So to treat everyone equally, one has to have that spiritual vision. Humble Maharaj Ambarish and Devarsa Muni. Here's Devarsa Muni finally offering his respects. Here's the Brahmastra who chased him all the way to the lotus feet of Ambarish. The simple point being is that although Devarsa Muni was so powerful, without humility, he was completely in anxiety. Look at this, the Bhagavatam. Look at Ravana. Look at Hiranyakasipu. We have our, whole Rolodex of Asuric people. Without humility, one's consciousness is always on fire. Envy, anger, exploitation. And Ambarish Maharaj, even in the most dangerous condition, completely peaceful and satisfied. You have to tolerate offenses. We have Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. There was a Pandit, Rup Narayan, and he was Digvijaya. He was traveling he had a Digpatra, I think it's called. He was traveling all over India defeating scholars, and when he defeated them, he made them put their name in their book, like notches on his belt, that, I was defeated by Rup Narayan. And he waited, honing his chops, and then finally he challenged Rupa and Sanatana, because they were renowned as top scholars. So they came, he came, I want to debate you. Rupa and Sanatana said, we don't have time for this foolishness. Fine, you defeated us. Oh, and you got to sign my book. Give us our, they signed immediately. They were not interested in vain glory. Of course, later on, Jiva, because this man was proud, I've defeated Rupa and Sanatana. So in the mood of a disciple, Jiva Goswami completely smashed him. It's a whole story. How do we maintain this consciousness of tolerance and humility? We want to be understood. We want to be, you don't understand. You know how you get murderers, or the child abusers? The way they get those people to confess is they help them understand. They say, your wife left you, and your girls always rejected you. They want the perpetrator wants to feel understood. A murderer, he stole all your money, he did this and this and that, you lost your temper, you're dying of cancer and you hate the world. I understand. When they say, I understand, then people open up. When they think, I've been heard, I've been understood. People want justice. You did me wrong, I want revenge. I want to balance the scale. How do we get out of that cycle? Bhavagrahi Janardanan, we have nothing to prove to others. You like me, you don't like me. Of course, devotees, we want the blessings of devotees. But that's not really my criteria. Samsiddhi Haritoshanam. Is Krishna satisfied? Krishna knows my heart. For better or worse, he knows that I was trying. He knows my good motivations. He knows that now I'm stumbling, I'm struggling with so many things, but I'm trying. Like Prabhupada, what is the famous thing? You don't blame a man for being dirty if he's in the shower. He's making the effort, So there's great solace, there's great peace. I saw a Bible thing, is what a friend we have in Jesus. You know how they put the lecture for the Sunday. We should do that out here. In the old days, it was nice to have. So, oh, what a friend we had, Krishna Suhridam. He's the best of friends. So if we know Krishna's in my heart, he knows my real motivations. He knows that I didn't, this person's angry, but I was just trying to help. Gunagrai Maharaj. Anyway, there was a devotee. He came to me. I was the temple president and said, why does Gunagrai Maharaj hate me? I said, well, I don't think Gunagrai Maharaj hates you. I mean, he's always spoken nicely of you, but, why do you say that? Turns out that Gunagrai Maharaj was going to a home program at night. He was somebody was driving, he was in the passenger seat. And before he went in, he was turned on the light inside to put on tilak, fresh tilak. Now, when it's dark, it's light inside, you can't see outside. Now, this devotee had come to offer his obeisances to Maharaj on the outside of the car. Maharaj put on his tilak, didn't know the man was there, couldn't see him, opened the car door. He didn't hurt him, but pushed him out of the way. And the devotee took it that Maharaj, here I am offering my obeisances, and he's just pushed me out of the way like I'm just, useless chattel. Why he doesn't? Who does he think he is, and why doesn't he? And the guy went on this whole trip. I asked Gunagrai Maharaj. Gunagrai says, "What? I don't know what he's talking about." So, but Krishna knows. So if people don't know, they don't understand, we tried sincerely, we did the best we could, and it blew up on our face. It's the material world. But the solace of knowing Krishna knows. We don't have to prove ourselves to others. We don't have to be victorious. We don't have to dance on their ashes. Krishna sees our activities. He knows what's in our heart. And that's our security, shelter, and solace. In that state of mind, one is peaceful and one can be tolerant and humble. Mundane pride, it's a great burden. It's carrying a huge, we've got to get praise. People have to, oh, I love you. Oh, you're wonderful. And it's just like a drug. You got to have a constant increasing fix of the thing. And it's a horrible burden to carry around. You got to prove yourself. You got to sustain it. And if you want to be on the top, you got to push others down. Pride often leads to offenses. You got to compete. You got to defeat. You got to find fault with others. Prabhupada's classic story. You hear that someone, you were both in college together, you got a law degree, he got a law degree, and then you find out later on he was appointed as a judge, and you're just still, schlepping away, chasing after ambulances. So, well, he must not be getting paid, or his uncle must, you try to bring him down, how did he get that position? And we have the classic example of Lord Indra, and how it can completely intoxicated with his position. So pride is a dangerous thing. It's an unhappy thing. It's a horrible burden on our back. And it's very dangerous. So therefore we want to be humble and tolerant. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs. So only one last and then we'll wrap up. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. If A and B, you will get C. Actually it's A, B, C, then you get D. So if we tall in the tree, lower than the straw in the street, ready to offer our respects for others, not hungry for, I've got to be praised and worshipped and appreciated. If we can just put all that aside, we can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Okay, so what? Why? Why is chanting the holy name of the Lord constantly worthwhile? We'll be quick. Happiness based on conditions or happiness based on consciousness? If our happiness is depending on conditions, what does that mean? What is the duration of our happiness if it depends on conditions, other than Dravida? What is the nature of conditions? What does Krishna say about the material world? It's constantly mutable. It's always changing. Buddhists, and they're right, nothing is certain but change. So if my happiness depends on I got to have my body's got to be right, or my mind's got to be right, or I got to be with the right people, or the right weather. The guys last night, 4 guys drinking all night long, carousing and making noise. This morning, I swear to you, the one guy walked outside and barfed in his own shoes. Yeah, and the guy just looked, he was just worked, you know. So if our happiness, and that's an extreme example, but if our happiness depends on conditions, this is the world we live in. But a Vaishnava, he's happy anywhere. Prabhupada said Vaishnava means give you enough room to lie down, a little prasadam, other than that, let me serve. That's a Vaishnava. Enough room to lie down, a little bit of prasadam, other than that, let me serve. And we don't care whatever the service is. Let me just serve. So that's our choice. So if we become absorbed in chanting the holy name constantly, we're happy. We have access to that happiness at any condition. We have right here a hometown girl. We have Shamali, who's dying of cancer. What do they call it? Virulent cancer. She's probably got a couple weeks, if that. And she is facing it so bravely. Jamunapati Prabhu, to lose his daughter? Who can imagine such a thing? Parashakti? They are, not that they don't feel it, they're not dull stones, but they are so brave and so fixed. And I call Shamali, she says, tell me some pastime, Maharaj. Not, whoa, why is Krishna doing this? So that peace and shelter are always available. We can always chant Hare Krishna. We can always absorb ourselves in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. It's available anywhere. Where everything else is fleeting conditions. Even while you've got it, you're completely in anxiety because the conditions are going to change. Another benefit of the power of pure chanting, or chanting without offense, it's Krishna Surya. It's described in the Madhya Lila how the sun, I'll say the other thing to you, Papavidyam, it's pure and antiseptic. Does anyone know Prabhupada's example how the sun is both pure, never becomes contaminated, and antiseptic? Anyone know the example, classic example? Dravida Prabhu. You can pass urine somewhere or have an old urinal. If people stop using it and the sun shines on it long enough, it becomes completely purified. I did a quick Google on it. They don't even know how it works, but the sun has like 15 different known therapeutic qualities, antiseptic qualities. Sun is the best disinfectant. It actually is the best disinfectant. So, we're going to get to that verse in a second, but look at Prabhupada's face. Completely absorbed in remembering Krishna and just hearing the holy name. So that, well, I guess I'll just do the next verse. I hope it's the next verse. Whoops, what happened here? Oh, Chaito Darpana Marjanam, the beginning of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction, that this chanting of the holy name cleanses the heart. Just like the sun burns off the fog. So when the Krishna Surya, the sun of Krishna, arises within the heart, all the anarthas become purified. But in order to chant that name purely, we need these prerequisite conditions that we were going over. Where did Lord Ram need to shoot Ravana to kill him? Ravana had 10 heads, and every time he shot a head, it just grew right back. Where did he need to shoot him? Well, there it is, my friends. And what is the analogy? What were those 10 heads? Lust, greed, anger, envy, greed, like that. Those were the 10 heads of Ravana, the archetype materialist. And you satisfy, you scratch an itch, it just comes back. So, Ram had to shoot him in the heart. Therefore, if we want to conquer the asuric-like nature, our asuric lust, greed, anger, envy, what do we need to do? Ram, what do we need to do? Yeah, you need to clean the heart. So this is valuable information. Essential information. Sweetness of a Vaishnava vision. Prabhupada said there's always three types of people. People higher than us, people the same as us, and people lower than us. Now, the materialists, people higher, envy, how to pull them down. People same level, compete. Try to knock them out of the way. People lower, exploit, take advantage of. Now, that same three are going to be there in the Vaishnava vision. But a Vaishnava, someone superior, we offer service, we take instruction. Someone who's on the same, we make friendship. And someone who's less fortunate, we give mercy. So again, conditions or consciousness. We have a choice. Do we want to live in a world where our mentality is we're either exploiting, we're competing, or we're envious? Or do we want to live in a world where we're serving and learning, we have friendship, and we're giving mercy? So when the heart becomes cleansed, that Vaishnava world is the world we live in. Just a few more slides. This verse, I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. We all like a nice feast, right? But we're limited. You eat 1 plate, 2 plates. Well, if you're a brahmachari, maybe 3 plates. But after a while, you may want to have 15 gulab jamuns, but you can't do it. But imagine the holy name, you have unlimited tongues, just increasing. Similarly, when the name enters the holes of the ear, we desire many millions of ears. Unlimited, ever-increasing happiness. That's the potency in the holy name. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, we're talking about cleaning the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and thus all the senses become inert. This is one of the benefits. We were talking about benefits. If I develop these qualities, I'll be able to chant the holy name purely. And here's some of the benefits. Look at Prabhupada's sweet, sublime nature. And if the mind becomes conquered and the senses become inert, on this other side, here's the uncontrolled senses. We know the analogy. The body is the chariot, senses are the horses, mind is the reins, intelligence the driver. We're just the passenger. And what I love about this picture, do you notice that they're careening closely to a cliff? They're just about to fall off the edge of a cliff. So we're just being, knocked from pillar to post with our senses. But if our heart becomes cleansed, we can simply become absorbed like Srila Prabhupada. 3 more slides, we're done. The ripened fruit of offenseless chanting, just to nail it down. What do the pure devotees see in their heart? You've got the yogis, they're, Brahmaneti, Paramaneti, Bhagavaneti, Shabhyate. The absolute truth is realized progressively. So they find their home and Om, they've found the light. Okay, that's good. The great yogis, they're seeing the super soul present in all things. So this is from Ishwar Puri. The fortunate souls dwelling in the forests of the Himalayas may have their hearts overflowing with joy of absorption in the super soul, Shantaras. They're just meditating on Krishna present everywhere. But as far as I'm concerned, this is a Vaishnava pure chanting. I only desire to see within my heart the frolics of a cowherd boy, whose complexion is more brilliant than a blue sapphire, who embodies the love of the gopis, and who sports in Vrindavan with nary a care. That's when the devotee looks in there. They're seeing Krishna's pastimes. We asked Prabhupada one time, what do you dream? Prabhupada, what do you dream about? Prabhupada said, I like to see what's in Krishna's lunchbox. That was Prabhupada saying, who knows? Prabhupada, with Mother, Prabhupada made luglus. Now we're talking about the fruit luglus, the bundi, Rice Krispie fruit. It's just unbelievably succulent. Tamal Krishna Maharaj told me this. Prabhupada made a batch, kept them on his desk, gave them to the devotees. Tamal said, Prabhupada, this is the best thing I've ever eaten. Prabhupada was in the kitchen. Prabhupada called back, oh, that's Mother Yasoda's recipe. Tamal said, how does Prabhupada know Mother Yasoda's recipe for cooking luglus for Krishna? So, what's in our heart, the frolics of that cowherd boy in Vrindavan. So, 3 last slides. Prabhupada on a radio show, what would happen if everyone became Krishna conscious? Because we're talking about individually and collectively, if there's the pure chanting of the holy name, what happens to us? Okay, fine, good for you. You selfish Hare Krishnas, you go off to your cave. No. We're spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. And everyone can come to this consciousness. This man it's the same guy who asked Prabhupada, a radio show trying to harass Prabhupada. There was perfect questions, perfect answers. This was foolish questions, perfect answers. Classic example. Well, why don't you he asked Prabhupada, he told Prabhupada, why don't you just go back to India? People are dying in India, death rate's so high in India. Just go back to India. We don't need you here. Prabhupada's answer, death rate's the same everywhere, 100%. So it went on like that, and the guy got so frustrated, he finally said, well, what would happen if the whole world became Krishna conscious? Prabhupada said, don't worry, there'll always be fools like you who won't. Prabhupada said, I can say that, you cannot. But here's an example. We did a calculation. This is LA Ratha Yatra. Anyone who's been to LA Ratha Yatra, people have so much fun. And Sadaputa, one of the many reasons I love Sadaputa, the LA Ratha Yatra costs between $55,000 and $65,000 to put on. Yeah. All the permits, all the storage, all the supplies for the prasadam, all the police staffing, it all adds up. It's between the rental of the park. Those things are not cheap. $55,000 to $65,000 to put on the LA Ratha Yatra. Sounds like a lot of money. And to praise Swavas and Tadit, they are such expert managers that by the prasadam booths, the gift shops, sponsors, they make profit. That's expert management for Krishna. So, what was I going to say? Oh, so Sadaputa got the figure of what the 9 top industrial nations, the G7 or G9, whatever it is, what they spend in 1 year on the defense budget. They it's a euphemism, defense. They're actually blowing the hell and shooting people and bombing and all that kind of stuff. Defense, it's offense in every sense of the word. But how much did those 9 nations spend in 1 year? Sadaputa broke it down to what they spend in 1 minute. What they spend, 9 top nations, on defense, buying all these bombs, we could put on, what was the number? 952 LA Ratha Yatras a day. Can you imagine the effect? We can't even think of 952 cities to do it in. Can you imagine a Ratha Yatra in 952 cities on the planet Earth every day, continually going? Can you imagine the effect that would have? But let's just look at one. What would happen if the whole world became Krishna conscious? They would become decorated with these qualities that we've described here. And how do we know that? From testing a grain of rice, you can understand the pot. You know the example. You test 1 grain, okay, the pot's done. These are just a few snaps of people. This one actually happens to be from the promenade in Santa Monica, but it's the same principle. These people are getting Krishna consciousness. These are ordinary people, just like you and me, Tom, Dick, and Harry's. And now they become Haris, just by getting a little bit of Krishna's mercy. They're feeling relief. They're feeling happiness. Maybe there's purpose and meaning to life. Maybe it's not just an endless grind to scrape a few scraps. So, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in addition to saying that we should wear this verse, Trinadapi Sunichena, around our neck like a garland, he also said that we should beat our mind in the morning with a shoe and in the evening with a broomstick. I may have that backwards, but the principle is the same. First thing in the morning, bang, 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 bang. Get the mind under control. And in the evening, bang, 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 bang. You rascal, you did so many stupid things. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said we should use this verse as that shoes and brooms to beat the mind. We need to take these things, and I'm talking to myself, seriously. The formula is there. The ingredients are there. The roadmap is there. But Prabhupada said you can lick the glass. We can memorize the verse. We can repeat it like a parrot. But we've got to practice it. We've got to fluff it out. We've got to meditate on it. This is just Badrinarayan Swami's small meditation on one verse. There's so much in all of these instructions. So Prabhupada said you got to open the jar, then you can taste the honey. So we've really got to take it seriously. I get this all the time when I travel. oh, Swamiji, I'm practicing Krishna consciousness, but, I'm not happy, and I'm in anxiety, and I've still got material desires, and, Krishna consciousness doesn't work. You hear it all the time. Usually from the same people. Then you ask them, well, if I go to a doctor and I say, I got this, I'm weak, I'm listless, got no energy, I got this gnawing pain in my stomach, it's been going on for 2 weeks and it just gets worse. Doctor asks, have you been eating anything? Oh, haven't had a morsel. Well, have a good meal, solve your problem. So in a similar fashion, are we chanting nice japa? Are we reading regularly? Are we avoiding the 10 offenses? Are we serving the Vaishnavas? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that we should make a plan every day to serve at least 10 Vaishnavas. I was watching Bhakti Alex laying out the cushions for the devotees. That's first class. And if you study the devotees, there's so many examples. Devotees are trying to serve each other. That healthy Vaishnava climate. So, are you taking the medicine? Are you following the process? No. Well, I don't read. Well, I don't. How do you chant your rounds? I chant my rounds on a clicker when I'm driving my car. Oh, well, okay. No, I had a guy asking me this. He picked me up at the airport, a devotee. Marsh, I'm not making any advancement. And click, 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 click. Click, click, turn, hong, hong. And I said, well, hang on a minute, mate. How about some nice japa? So, for the seed, this is the summation verse. For the seed to grow, it must have soil, sun, and water. Cultivating the qualities listed by Lord Chaitanya are prerequisites for pure chanting. So, lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than a tree, ready to offer our respects to others while not expecting any respect for ourselves. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Let us all take shelter of Lord Chaitanya's sublime instructions. Okay, Prabhus. Hare Krishna. All glories to Prabhupada.